Target has apparently lost billions of dollars over this controversial LGBTQ pride-themed kids clothing line. This article is from the New York Post. Target loses $10 billion, Jesus, in 10 days as stocks fall following boycott over LGBTQ-friendly kids clothing. Target has lost $10 billion in market valuation over the last 10 days as the popular retailer continues to face backlash over its pride-themed clothing line for children. Target, which has been caught in the middle of America's culture war over gender, moved its pride section in some southern stores away from the front line last week after it said displays were knocked over by protesters who were also confronted by workers. The retailer also said it would remove items from the collection but did not specify which ones. Among the ones which garnered the most attention were the tuck-friendly women's swimsuit that allowed trans women who have not had gender-affirming operations to conceal their genitalia, as well as rainbow-themed children's clothing. While many have linked the conservative boycott against Target of that to Bud Light, which saw sales crush after partnering with transgender influencer Dylan Mullaney, Texas Senator Ted Cruz doubted that backlash against the retailer would be as impactful. Speaking on his podcast, the Republican said that while multiple alternatives exist to replace, I don't know how you pronounce that name, Bush's brands, the same is not so for Target. And here are some of the pictures of, it looks like the clothing line, the LGBT pride themed clothing line. Trans people will always exist. And I think this is what they were talking about. The swimsuit doesn't look like it's gender concealing to me, but it's definitely pride themed with the rainbow colors and stuff like that. Now, here are my 2 cents about this. I'm not going to try to make this video long. I'm going to make it quick. Listen, if you want to transition into another gender, that's your life. Do whatever you want to do. Be you. Live in your true self. But the problem what most people have, hell, a lot of people have, is when you try to indoctrinate this shit towards people's children. It's like you are brainwashing them before they can even think for themselves. This is how you should think. This is what is acceptable in your life. No, that is the problem. Stop trying to indoctrinate little fucking kids who don't even know what 1 + 1 is into thinking that this is okay. And they're forcing kids to say, hey, I think there was a law or something like that where they're trying to get this thing passed where kids can get gender-affirming surgeries, gender-affirming operations without the consent of their parents. Excuse me, if you are a little kid, if you're under the age hell of 16 years old, your parents should know what the hell you're doing when you're doing. If you're on their payroll, if they put a roof over your head, food in your stomach, clothes on your back, they are financially, physically, and mentally responsible for you. Your parents should have consent, a say into what you're doing, especially into something as serious as gender affirming surgery. And the fact that they don't even want parents parenting their kids anymore is what is disgusting and what pisses a lot of people off. And they try to make this as a political warfare, like, look, they don't want your kids to be, prideful about LGBT. That's not the fucking issue here. And even it was mentioned in the New York Post that mentioned conservatives. This is not a conservative versus liberal thing. It's a common sense, ethical thing. Kids should not be indoctrinated into thinking this is how to operate. Parents should not be left out in the loop of what their kids want to do at a certain age. When you're old, when you're 21 and above, or when you're an adult, you pay your own bills, you got your own house. The parents don't need to know what you're doing. When you're still living under their roof at a certain age, especially when you're in elementary, middle school, your parents should need to be in your business. Because like, hey, if anything happens to you, that's going to be on our ass. And the fact that they're trying to push this to little kids, this is what pisses a lot of people off. I think I saw a video on TikTok where they had this guest speaker came and talked to, looks like kids that were like elementary. They were like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, whatever it was. And it was a drag queen and it was transgender people. And they were talking to them about queer theory, about LGBT stuff that happens in the LGBT community, about transitioning from male to female and female to male. That is fucking disgusting as hell. Imagine if your kid came back to you, your little toddler kid, your 11, 12, 10, 9-year-old kid came home from school and told you, Mom, Dad, we had a guest speaker in class today, and this person was a transgender. This person was a drag queen, and they were talking to us about transitioning from male to female and LGBT and all that type of stuff. You would feel disgusting as a parent. You would be pissed off, and you would go to that school the next day and be like, yo, what the hell are you guys teaching my kid? I sent my kid to school to learn about math, science, social studies. I sent my kid to learn about sexuality and queer theory. What the hell are we doing? Like, no, this ain't okay. This ain't right. This is not, I don't want you teaching my kid none of that garbage stuff. And if a kid wants to explore about their sexuality, let them get to a certain age where they have more developed brain, where their brain has developed, and they start to have, boyfriend, girlfriends, they start having sex, for them to make the decision on their own. Hey, you know what? I'm not happy in this body or this gender. I want to transition. That's your right. But when you're trying to force feed them, when you're trying to indoctrinate them, when you are trying to change them into saying, hey, you need to be this and accept this, and to change their way of thinking and to manipulate their way of thinking, that's a fucking problem. And parents are going to be pissed off when you're trying to control their own kid. That shit should not fly nowhere. But let me know what you guys think about this whole Target losing $10 billion. And it looks like they're going to continue to lose more money over this LGBTQ pride-themed clothing for kids. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you guys next time, man. Peace.